Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the OMG It's Derek podcast. In today's episode, you're about to watch, we are interviewing The Hustle House. That is the pseudonym that he goes by on the internet, also known as Jason. Jason has been involved in cryptocurrencies for quite some time. He actually gave a talk at one of the original Litecoin conferences. If you are familiar with cryptocurrencies and know what Litecoin is, it was basically a secondary chain that was created right after Bitcoin. Kind of, the original thesis of it was the silver to gold metaphor of from the physical world. He then has recently moved on to NFTs or Nifties and has been in the Nifty space since it pretty much started up. Kodeations and I don't know a lot about NFTs, so we approached this interview from the standpoint of a beginner who has, myself having knowledge in cryptocurrencies, but not specifically NFTs, and Kodeations kind of being new to the entire scene of cryptocurrencies, to try to kind of dive into what NFTs are, how they're useful to artists, as well as how you can, financially gain from the space if you were wanting to invest in the space. It was a super dope conversation. Really appreciated him coming on. If you guys have been around the podcast for a while, you'll know this is one of the first times that we've brought on an outside guest. We did talk about starting to do this with our podcast in the last episode, where we're going to these bi-weekly podcast shows, but trying to put a little bit more production quality into them, bringing on some different guests, experts in fields that we may not know a lot about, diving into some different topics like that. I think it went really well, but I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. So you guys can hit either myself or Kodeations up wherever you can find us on the interwebs. The best place for me is just my website, omgitsderek.com. And then you can, find my links to all my different social media platforms that I use and stuff like that. Kodeations is probably twitter.com/Kodeations. Kodeations. And then at the end of the podcast, The Hustle House gives out all the information if you want to get a hold of him or follow him if you're interested in the nifty space. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the interview. All right, Jason. So first things first, welcome to the podcast. And before we go into NFTs, this is our NFT podcast. I've heard people calling them Nifties. I like that. I hope it sticks, to be honest. But first and foremost, do you mind kind of giving us a backstory of yourself, Jason, kind of how you got involved in NFTs and kind of how this whole crazy show started for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, thanks for having me. My name's Jason. I've been in the crypto space since 2016, and it's been quite a journey. All of a sudden, about a year ago, Ken Bosak, one of my buddies, told me about NFTs, told me that this was gonna be the next big thing. And as an artist, we thought, oh, let's start thinking about what's new. And so I started coming up with an idea to sell custom shoes like what Ferocious did, and I just I never took action, and he did it, and I was watching all of a sudden like, wow, we came up with that entire strategy like over a year ago. So
Wow.
that's a major bummer for me. But in the NFT space, there's new opportunities every day, and I've been enjoying teaching people about non-fungible tokens, what that means relative to crypto, and having a lot of fun with either it being NBA Top Shot or metaverses, which are like digital video games where you're starting to get paid for crypto. Um, there's been so much fun and so much excitement in the space lately that it's 100% all the time, every day is NFT lately, and I'm really excited that more and more people want to learn about this. So thank you for having me to chat about NFTs today.
Yeah, absolutely. I know personally, me and Codations both are super excited to learn more about NFTs. As I've mentioned to you off the air of the podcast, I do have some background in crypto, but not a lot in NFTs. So you mentioned that you're an artist. I think you said you're an artist as well.
Yes, sir.
And the first thing that came to mind is you started talking about custom shoes. And when I think of custom shoes, the first thing that comes to mind, because it's like fresh in the news right now, is the Nikes that little Nas X, the singer. I don't know if you
Oh
saw
yeah.
those Satan shoes that he released, the 666. So now, not to go on to that, but my thought is, so I'm thinking like a digit or a physical product. So when you say your friend made these custom shoes, they're digital.
So, well, what the idea was essentially was to create an NFT, which would allow you to redeem a physical shoe.
Oh,
And
okay.
that physical shoe was a custom piece of art in itself. That was essentially the idea. And then that's what that 18-year-old artist Ferocious did recently, where he just like cleared millions of dollars in like, I think 24 or 48 hours by selling NFTs, which people could trade on the market or and then eventually decide to burn and redeem and get a pair of physical shoes in the mail.
Oh, that's pretty neat. So I guess then that leads me to my next question of maybe for some of our listeners that have no idea what you're even talking about on the blockchain, redeeming a token or whatever. So what exactly is a NFT?
All right. So the simplest way that I can explain it, we hear the term non-fungible token.
Hmm.
Essentially, it's something that can't be interchanged for something else. So, like a dollar bill, every dollar bill can be interchanged, doesn't matter. That's a fungible item essentially. A baseball card is a non-fungible token in that each individual one is unique to itself. The way that that person holds it, owns it, the condition, whatever. Now people have figured out how to put that into a digital space. So for me, for example, I grew up moving around a lot and I lost my basketball card collection filled with awesome Kobe's and
Oh
amazing
my
things.
gosh.
Now we look at things like NBA Top Shot, where people can buy NFT moments, NBA plays essentially, that are stored on a blockchain securely and safely. As long as I have my password, I'll have access to these and I can sell them and buy them on a market right there. So this is kind of like looking at a collectibles market, but in the future on the internet, digitized and really, really fun.
Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, I think that explains it pretty well. So obviously, just to kind of get it out of the way, since we're now saying, non-fungible, it's a digital version of a product. The very first argument that I heard against NFTs or Nifties was that will copy paste. You can just copy and paste anything if it's a video, you could, use a video stealer and download the video and then you own it. So how is there any value in actually having the NFT?
So an NFT is similar to a patron of the arts, essentially giving a tip to an artist. You can think of it very much like that. So when I create an NFT, at the end of the day, essentially all it is a bunch of ones and zeros on a blockchain, right? It's just some math on a computer. But really, what that person is buying is that representation of art that I've digitized. And then they've decided that they either want to support me by buying it or they think there's value and they want to try to resell it on the aftermarket. So, yes, you could take a screenshot of my work, but you're not going to have a marketplace to go ahead and sell that and make money on it. And most of these NFTs essentially are intended to someone's trying to make money on it when they buy it. They want to, you buy a Picasso, let's say for example in real life, you want it to appreciate and value the same way you would do for an NFT artist.
Okay. And what do you think? I mean, so right now, obviously, as you said, the space is blowing up. You said you've been involved in it for a year. Where do you I mean, in my opinion, I don't think it can keep going the way it's going. I believe in the value of the art. I just think because it's a new technology, you're seeing a lot of overinflation. Let me put it a different way. I think 90% of what people are buying probably isn't going to be worth much in 5 years. I do, again, not that I'm discounting NFTs. I buy into it. I think I like to look at them as like the certificate of authentication when you buy like some other collectible in the digital space or in the physical space, you get that, whether it's, let's use those collectible plates for example. When you get that, you also normally get that certificate of authenticity that says that you bought this plate, it's a real one. Da, da, da. That's how I look at NFTs. But I still think right now the market's overinflated. Do you think we're near the top of that market? Do you tend to agree with that sentiment that in 5 years, 90% of these products are going to be worthless and it's going to be kind of the best ones that win? Or where's your mind when it comes to that and
So
investing in them?
there's a lot wrapped up in that question, right? And the
Sure.
reality is, um, that's impossible to answer. I I can't give you an answer based on that, but what I can say is by watching the market and how this works and understanding art, there's going to be artists who are the top of the creme de la creme. We have our Beeples, We have our Grimes. These are the people that have digital backgrounds now that will be represented going forward as the most important digital artists of our times. They will continue to grow in value. You're going to see a lot of other amazing physical artists come into the space and realize there's a great, gigantic opportunity to make money. Then you're going to see other people who are just like normal guys like myself selling my art. They're going to sell occasionally because just like I would occasionally sell a painting. So will it hold value over time? That's all relative to the person who buys it, right? If you're buying a crypto punk for 29 ether, is that an investment or is that something fun for you? Because most of those people that are buying those very expensive NFTs is a very, very, very small portion of people who hit very big in crypto, more or less in 2017.
Right. Makes
So,
sense.
so do I think this is going to continue in this path in 5 years? You're going to look at NFTs as one of the most important things that you've ever acquired at this point in your life, because the ones that actually are going to evolve into something bigger will have utility behind it, meaning there's going to be some kind of actual function when you buy an NFT. So picture you buy a Dallas Mavericks season pass, and Mark Cuban has decided he's going to turn all the season ticket holders' tickets into NFTs. Now they're going to have a collectible which they can share with their family. They could sell it on the aftermarket. They could do whatever they want, but they're getting a little extra. These are the kind of perks that people are going to start to involve in their businesses. And gamification is really going to be what brings it together. So you're going to see people in the future playing games in metaverses for NFT prizes, which they can there either stake for money or sell it in the aftermarket and profit.
And when you say just for the audience, when you say metaverse, can you explain what you mean by that?
Sure. So a metaverse essentially is a digital world. Let's think of like Sims, except you own what's happening and you can control your avatar. There's examples like Decentraland out there. I'm currently an owner of land in what's called the Uplift world. That's a new and upcoming project built on the Minecraft server. So we're going to be playing Minecraft and be earning cryptocurrency. And as we grow our community and have more people come play Minecraft on my community land, they're going to be rewarded in NFTs that are backed by crypto. So it's going to be one of those things where as you start playing video games, you're going to be rewarded with passive income.
Okay. And when you say, the NFTs, I think before you mentioned like sharing them with, so would you be able to share or I guess not share, but display these NFTs in the metaverses?
Yeah, so that's one of the coolest things about the metaverse is you can actually have art gallery shows where people will come and, maybe we host an event where we decide we're going to take your NFTs that you've made and we're going to curate a metaverse show and we're going to sell them. Or they could just be prizes, or they could just be graphics that we display somewhere on a wall because that's something we want to do. There's all kinds of possibilities of what we could do going forward.
I'm going to interject here. Yeah, what it sounds a lot like to me. So from my perspective, when I've looked at a little bit into NFTs and I've done some research and what really gets my brain flowing is it's a collectible, right? Like, or at least some of them can be collectibles. And that's something that I'm kind of sort of a collector myself, right? Like I like little different things, action figures or different things that I've collected, but specifically what I'm attracted to is the rarity of that item, right? Like the fact that I've got that action figure with that number one, nobody else can have that number one, right? Or that baseball card that's number one, right? And that's kind of the part of NFTs that I'm excited about, and that's kind of where I'm tying it into gaming, right? Like there's a platform out here that I've been a part of for I don't even know almost a year now, but it's called Guild of Guardians, right? And so there's this game, and in theory, you basically are playing the game, grinding out gear. Let's use like a game like Diablo, right? You're grinding out gear, a legendary drops. The difference though is that the player actually owns that digital item. Do you know what I mean? So that NFT or that sword, drops. It's a one of a kind. It drops. I end up looting it. I get awarded that item. I'm awarded that NFT. The game developer doesn't own that. I mean, I own that as a player, and then like you're saying, this aftermarket or this market that I can then say, okay, 5 years from now, that sword obviously doesn't exist because I own that sword or that NFT. 5 years from now, I walk away from the game. I want to make a little bit of money on it or something. I could then propose that sword on the market for sale to somebody else who is trying to collect, let's say, every item in the game, or they want that sword specifically. Am I hitting? Am I close on that number when it comes to NFTs? Like, is that a thing, or
That's
is
that's essentially where the future of video games is going to go, is where you buy a video game and it becomes an asset that you build on. And then you know how you used to go to GameStop and you'd sell them, they'd be like, "Hey, I paid $50 retail," and they're like, "We'll give you $4." And that was the worst. But now with this, there's going to be places where you sell in the aftermarket your game, because you're selling that NFT actually, which represents that land plot, let's say, or that item collection or whatever. And all of a sudden your video game has become more valuable because you put time into it. And that's always what I felt like what stopped me from gaming was like I'd spend 6 hours playing NBA 2K. Man, I got like 4-2, but what did I really get out of that? Nothing at the end of the day. Now there's projects like Chain Games, which has allowed people to play video games where they can be rewarded in crypto immediately afterwards. Like I was playing what they call Chaino, which is essentially is Uno for crypto against one-on-one against people the other day.
which
Oh,
is
that's
very
really neat.
cool.
And how and so you're playing Uno 1v1 with other people, essentially Uno. And so you're saying like every time you win, you would earn crypto, or just for playing, just play time, you earn
No,
crypto.
you're essentially in that one. It's like you're putting down your bet. You each put 10, chain game tokens down, and whoever wins takes them both. So that doesn't
Okay.
have anything to do with NFTs, but it has to do more with the gaming and how crypto is just evolving on so many different levels.
Right, right. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. But I do think it's interesting, Codations, as you were saying, kind of that the idea that eventually, items that you I mean, because even if you think now there's games like Counter-Strike Global Offense where there is a marketplace for items that people
Yeah,
sell,
game.
guns and skins and things that they get.
Yeah, think
And
think
to
think
think that
think of
go ahead.
that in that same exact, yeah, in that same retrospect, Derek. That's very much like you're talking about CS:GO, right? Like that's pretty much like the same mindset that I was that I was relaying that on. That to me seems like a very early fundamental, stage of what NFTs could be for gaming. You know what I mean? Instead of it being, a piece from the game, for specifically to that game, you could have this generalized market, you know what I mean, out there that you could then sell those in-game items, as NFTs, you know what I mean, and collectible
Yeah.
items. And
That's
and personally, I really like what you just said a second ago. And you're right. I mean, the thing right now is I can invest 3,000 hours, right? Like into a video game. You mean, grind out the best gear, everything, put in all this time and work. But at the end of the day, I have nothing. I mean, I'm not really gaining anything from that. Do you know what I mean? Besides the experience, you know what I mean? And so that's where I think, for me personally, I think that's what attracts me to NFTs in the gaming world, because it's like, wow, now I'm actually getting rewarded for the time that I'm investing. I mean, and not only that, I'm able to utilize that later on. I mean, so
right.
I would say, 3,000 hours I spent in this game 2 years ago that I'm not playing anymore, that I have nothing there. All I've got is a number in my, Xbox profile that says 3,000 hours was wasted on this game. Now I'm going to be able to show and open up a box, and be like, hey, here's 3,000 hours to show you that. Do you remember this NFT that dropped? Yeah, I've got it right here. Check this out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and most likely you're gonna see video games start to have account values associated with your gamer tag, where like I wouldn't be shocked where they're like, gamer tag, Taco Shack, whatever their value is, and then they'll show a very real number underneath. There's gonna be a lot of stuff like that in the future, and it's a very exciting time for all sorts of gamers.
So and that so then my question would be, and not to stay on gaming for too long, because I know NFTs is much more than just video games, but we're like as I said, we're video game nerds. I think this question takes me into another interesting question away from gaming. But my thought is as I'm listening to both of you say this about video games and stuff, is how cool would it also be that when I move on to another game, if somehow all the games support the same NFT system, to
Yeah,
where,
so
let's say I'm playing Minecraft and I got an awesome sword in Diablo, as Codation said, and I can display that sword in Minecraft. Is that something that
there
is
there's definitely
possible?
There's definitely something like that in the horizons for sure. Anything is possible in the crypto space. Like if you really can just imagine it, someone's probably working on it.
Right.
But what's really cool right now is let's say this one game I'm playing, I bought all these different NFTs and they allow me to do something called staking, where all of a sudden I'm acquiring this like game money. So I can either create more items or I could just kind of let it accumulate and see what happens because it's only in phase one of the game and there's three phases, right? So literally all we know is that you can build things or you can accumulate points. And what's
Okay.
cool about that is I've taken NFTs from other games and stake them in there. So as I'm not playing those other games, I can take those NFTs, put it in this collective pool, which is now giving me more value in this other game. So while I'm not playing this asset that I own for another game, it still has value in by being repurposed into another game. So that's pretty neat.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so can you explain what is so because I didn't quite I get what you're saying about how it can be repurposed and used in another, but what exactly is staking or how would you explain staking?
So staking essentially is a way to take something you own and give it to someone else so that they could use it to fund something and essentially giving you an interest back, right? So when someone says they're staking an NFT, they're giving it to someone else and they're being rewarded in a different crypto back. And in this
So
case, it's something called Aether.
okay. Okay, yeah, yeah. And I'm
So
familiar with Ether.
essentially you are selling that NFT, but you're instead of selling the NFT and getting paid the ether and then walking away, you're basically selling the ether to this person or entity, which then is giving you this currency that you can use across multiple platforms, right?
No. So
Oh,
first
okay.
off, it's not Ether, and I know it sounds confusing. It's Aether. So A
Oh, Aether. Okay,
H
okay. A ether.
and
Gotcha.
that's the gaming token within that game that they're creating. So, in a
Okay.
lot
Okay.
of times, these gaming tokens that are being created in a game start to be sold on a secondary market. So, all of a sudden, the game token has real world value, which I can accumulate. So, think of it more like a savings bank. Like I've taken $100, I put it into an account, and they've decided to pay me 5% interest consistently over a fixed amount of time. That's essentially more or less the easiest way to think of staking.
So it's like almost like renting your NFT to someone?
Yeah, more or less. I've
So
basically
you
rent
still own it, I guess,
I
is the
still own
like
it.
you
I can
still own it.
unstake it at any time, take
Okay.
it, do whatever I want. I could sell it. I always own it.
Okay, okay. Unless you actually sell it off to
Unless
somebody.
exactly,
So
exactly.
okay, okay, yeah. So in my brain, I think of like it's almost like you're again. I know this isn't what you're doing in staking, but I think of like it's almost like you're renting it, like you're letting kind of like you said, you're letting somebody borrow it or use it, and they're paying you to do so
Just the
until
same way
whatever
you
time.
put money in a bank and they pay you interest because they're using your money to do something else with.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Codations. Any follow up questions to that?
No, no. I mean, I
Okay.
think I think that's I mean, I think that's pretty much on par. The only I mean, I guess the only follow-up question I would have, which might leave us down a rabbit hole, but that would be what would be the benefit to the person who is renting the stake? You know what I mean? So meaning like if let's say me and you both, Jason, like you were allowing me to rent this NFT or to utilize or stake this, you were gonna stake this NFT with me, and then I'm paying you a certain percentage of the NFT being staked. What am I getting out of it on my end?
So you're thinking of it more as a personal, like I'd be staking with you or so and so. No, it's like you're staking with the game itself. So, and
Okay.
that's like leveling up. So think of it as like all of a sudden I need to acquire 10 green cards, 10 red cards, 10 blue cards. And if I have all of these and I give them to the game, then they will give me this other token at a higher pace of reward. That's essentially what it is.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it ends up
Okay.
having
Okay.
monetary real world value.
Right. I get what you're saying because it's being sold in a secondary market, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And then so kind of then going into my next question, going back into that kind of it would be cool to share it between different games. So is NFTs is there I mean is this one blockchain? Is this several blockchains? I mean kind of who are the players and stuff that has to do with any of that?
That's a good question. And a lot of people think that when they think of NFT, they think of Ethereum. And that is not the only NFT that exists. So an NFT is strictly a non fungible token. and Ethereum happens to be the most popular platform people use it on. That's what people know.
Okay.
But as of right now, you can make NFTs on Wax. That's their own blockchain. Cardano has started to sell NFTs. Not, they will start to on their blockchain soon. Now, exchanges like crypto.com are now selling NFTs of very high exclusive artists only at like a $2,000 price cost per NFT. And
Wow.
there's all sorts of, so think of it almost like an art gallery. There's a million sorts of art galleries. They all curate their own sorts of collection, their own sorts of artists, and that's how you would think of all these different blockchains.
And so are you able to do you see any kind of path to where there becomes like an industry standard per to say, so that game developers, or and again I use game because that's what I know, but let's use your like like let's say another art studio on another blockchain wants to show this piece of art on this blockchain. Do you know, is there any kind of like an industry standard that's happening, or does that make sense what I'm asking?
Absolutely. And oddly enough, yesterday my girlfriend brought this to my attention that, of course, Mark Cuban's a genius again, and he's working on something called lazy.com. And I Googled it because I was curious, and it's actually a way to do that where he's figured out, or they're developing the idea that from one website, you can put in your information and show all of your NFTs from all the various blockchains that you've made it on
Very
in
cool.
one place. That
That's
was super cool to me. Because like right now, if I try to explain to people this NFT is on this blockchain and this NFT is on this blockchain, and I feel like I'm sending people all over the internet, it's kind of confusing if you don't know how to navigate the internet that well.
right.
So there is someone who's forward thinking already, and I saw it being lazy.com so far as the best example I found, where they're trying to basically allow you to create one portal for people to view all of the NFTs that you've made, regardless of what blockchain it's on.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, yeah. That's neat. So you mentioned Top Shot. So what exactly is Top Shot? Because I've heard that thrown around. That seems to be like the biggest craze, or at least what kind of jump started this craze of
I think
NFTs. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I think
go ahead,
Top
Codations.
well Top Shot technically has like it's a card company. I mean, they make like collectible cards, or they used to. I don't know if they still do, right? And then now they've turned it into a digital space for NBA, right? For basketball.
Nope. So I think you're getting confused with Tops. Tops like has no association with Top Shot.
Gotcha. Okay, so Top Shot is completely different.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Go
So,
ahead.
so Tops actually is working on their own Tops digital platform for themselves, and they're
Gotcha.
doing that through the Wax blockchain. So
Okay.
if you go to the Wax blockchain, they'll be rolling out, I think tomorrow, a Godzilla on the Tops, so a collectible on the Tops brand. But
Okay.
NBA Top Shot is essentially a new collectible of basketball moments. So what is a moment? It's a play, a pass, a jump shot, a dunk, an assist. And this has become what has allowed a lot of people to jump into NFTs without knowing that they were participating in the NFT economy. So this is
Okay.
a separate company called Dapper Labs, which has created their own blockchain. They basically found out that Ethereum would be too costly. They wouldn't be able to do all the gifting that they wanted to, because they want people to trade. They want people to send those moments back and forth the same way you would trade with your buddies back in the day when you were in grade school. And
Right.
so they've created this platform. It's blown up. They just actually had Michael Jordan and a bunch of other investors put in $305 million as of just
Wow.
today. And that put their evaluation, I believe, over $2 billion, something absurd like that. So,
Into sorry, not to interrupt you, but there was two things I just wanted. So when you say moment, so are these like a video clip or a picture of a dunk? Because you said a moment like a dunk pass. What
so
is it?
a moment is essentially a video clip. It's a
So it's
GIF
a video clip?
of
Okay.
the play. And then they have five different little structures of like snapshots of the play essentially. And it's
Okay.
all displayed on a screen, and it looks like the back of a basketball card. As you scroll down, it'll have the stats, the game specifics, what happened, the serial number, the edition, that sort of info.
Awesome. And then second question, you mentioned Dapper Labs. I could be getting this wrong, but did they, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but aren't they the same company that did CryptoKitties back on the Ethereum blockchain
Yep.
years ago. I mean, I don't even know if that would have been considered an NFT. I don't know if they were around
That
then.
was the very first NFT that really like caught everyone's attention
Oh, I
essentially.
didn't even realize that. I knew crypto kitties, but I had no idea that was an NFT or whatever. I didn't realize
Yeah,
it was,
that
but
was
yeah, it was basically a collectible kitties, right? They were
is a
kitties.
digital collectible kitty, and it's what broke Ethereum the very first time.
Oh,
Because
okay.
what happened was it came out, it was the stir of the internet, everyone wanted one, and Ethereum couldn't handle that processing.
Well, it's
So
fucking cats and the internet. I mean, they're kind of synonymous with
yeah, that's the
cats
number
and
one
the
rule.
internet. They
Don't
go
mess with that.
together.
Exactly.
Okay, so I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but those were just two
Oh,
things that kind of popped out that I was curious on. Yeah, that's so they're actual moments. That's really cool. And so Dapper Labs, when you said that they got a $305 million, is that specifically NBA Top Shot? I think I'm saying that
yes.
right. Or
Yeah.
is that Dapper Labs got that investment?
From what I understand, it's Dapper Labs that got that because they're the overall company and they're looking to expand into different sports and different collectibles. I believe that UFC is going to be the next sport that comes out where they're going to be doing UFC moments. And right now, I mean, the most fun I've had in the NFT space is trading and watching and opening packs with my buddies in the NBA Top Shot moment because we're giggling and we're Zoom chatting and we're having time of our lives like we're 10 years old again and we're all in our mid 30s now. So they've created a user experience that has tremendous value. And that's where you see something that doesn't really have utility create utility. And that's why they'll be really, really valuable as time goes on.
So can I interject here really, really quick? Just because one thing caught my eye, and that's because I'm a mobile gamer, and I'm addicted to gotcha mechanics. So my question is you mentioned the word opening packs. So are you saying that they have some sort, or there is like Top Shot has built in some sort of gotcha pack opening system into the digital space?
So this is the most fun I've had lately. It's chasing down these packs. And when they were brand new in beta, they're still in beta. But when they were brand new, you could buy as many packs as you wanted, and they would have either 3 or 6 cards depending on the price and the rarity and stuff. And that's how you would essentially get your intro to Top Shot. And then you could go ahead and sell those individually on the marketplace. So, like yesterday, for example, they had a pre-order drop where they dropped, I believe, 2 million packs, and that was the largest they've ever done. And I gobbled one up. My girlfriend got one, my neighbor got one, my buddies in LA got one, and we're all just holding them because while they're in beta right now, we don't want to open them because we're looking at it as a value, as a collectible,
Well,
right?
right. But now with these packs though, do they function just like old school baseball cards or Pokemon cards where you would open up the packs? It's not guaranteed to have, a super valuable NFT in it, or is it always guaranteed to have an NFT, or are they all NFTs, I guess technically?
They're 100% all NFTs. And just like you would see on the back of any trading card, you're going to see the odds put on it. So let's say yesterday, my girlfriend and I opened what they call a Cool Cats pack. We paid $14 for it. And there is a Cool Cats series in there that you're going to get. That's going to like be the insert card essentially, right?
Right.
And then you have maybe 3 common moments, and they could be LeBrons that happen to be worth $1,000, or they could be, Ish Smith, which is worth $14. But either way, the operation of the mechanics is it's a pack on your screen. You hit open pack and it kind of rumbles. There's all this really cool music. It gets you pumped, dude. And it's the coolest way.
I'm
Like,
gonna tell you right now, dude. Listen, my wife can't know about NFTs because I'm gonna lose my money. That's what's gonna happen. I am addicted, dude. I am a mobile gotcha hero collecting gamer. I'm going to lose it if I get to open up digital gotcha packs, man.
and you got to be careful because my best friend is he works professionally in the gaming industry. He loves gaming. I introduced him to a game. He texted me like, dude, I just spent $2,000 on this game. Why did you do this
Oh
to me?
my god.
But I had to remind him that it's not spending $2,000, it's investing $2,000 because there's
Right.
a difference. You can actually sell that on the marketplace and make a profit and use that money. So,
Right.
like, I don't know if you guys saw today, but PayPal announced that they're now allowing merchant services to be paid with Bitcoin, PayPal, Ethereum, Litecoin.
I
So,
did.
like,
That which
this
is
is
super.
this
I
is
saw Visa announced also that they were going to start allowing transactions to be settled on their I don't know what I call it a Visa blockchain, but I guess it's not really a blockchain.
that
But the
probably is
Visa
what it is.
ledger, the Visa Ledger, they could start doing that. So yeah, we're gonna see some cool stuff in that as well. Not to, but since we're going that way, so I mentioned also off stream that I was doing a little bit of digging on you and stuff, and just trying to be prepared for this interview. And I saw you had posted, I think it was on Twitter, you had posted maybe like a memories photo or something where you had given a conference talk at a Litecoin conference. Litecoin being basically an identical blockchain to Bitcoin that originally, when it came out, was kind of like they classified it as the silver to gold, kind of as the metaphor. What was I'm curious, what did you give a talk on?
That was super cool. I got to meet Charlie Lee that day, who is the
Super
creator of
cool, dude.
Litecoin. Super
Yep.
smart man. I got to go up there as a new YouTuber who was focused on crypto only on my content and explain what that journey was like. And it was really, really fun because I got to go up there with, I think, 5 or 6 other influencers in the space. And we were all relatively new. And if you look at some of those people now, they happen to be some of the highest ranking influencers in the space. And they just happen to also be my drinking buddies from back in the day in 2016. If you ever been to a crypto conference back in the day, during the day, it was a lot of awesome lecturing, a lot of awesome speeches, and the night was a lot of awesome mixers. So Litecoin
Yeah.
Summit was an amazing experience where we got to talk about all kinds of like tactics on how to deliver content to people who were new to the space in a way that they could digest it essentially.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, I never. I got into crypto pretty early myself, as I mentioned. I was in crypto back when the first ASIC miners were coming out
Oh
with.
wow.
I believe was Bitminer the first company to start selling them. I think. But I had pre-ordered. I was on the pre. I was like number 1,000 on the list of getting ASIC miners from them.
Nice.
Um, Super fun. I'm not a billionaire. I was stupid and sold a lot of it when it first reached like 1,000, and then like was like, oh shit, this is bigger than I thought it was gonna be. And before I started buying back in,
It's a
but
common story in this place.
it is, and but whatever. Uh, but I do reminisce from I got into affiliate marketing on the internet when it first blew up back in. I mean, this was before crypto and all that, and I remember going to a lot of those conferences, and it was very much the same way. The nights were crazy as fuck.
Yeah, well,
So
and that's the craziest thing is people don't realize that some of the best information you're gonna get is when everyone's just like a little bit looser, not on stage. Some people have social anxiety, so maybe putting myself on a stage isn't as well as I would articulately speak when I have one drink in myself and a little bit less light on me, and it
yep,
kind
right.
of open up and just chat with your buddies, and all of a sudden you've just blown everyone's mind with a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. No, it's very interesting because I come from a different background, guys. I mean, I'm 27. I'm again, I've never been in the investing space. I've never been in crypto. I mean, the first stuff that I ever really started hearing about crypto was once Bitcoin was already Bitcoin. You know what I mean? I mean, that's pretty much like, I came through and then I started hearing people close to me being, talking about Bitcoin or did you see this? Did you see that? I'm like, nope. What is Bitcoin? You know what I mean? And I'm looking at the perception as it's something I can't see, right? You mean, I'm not holding it in my hand. You mean, I can't hold Bitcoin, or in my brain, I'm telling myself, like you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast episode is, a dollar. You mean, I've got a dollar bill. You mean, I know what that dollar bill can buy me at the gas station, or at the store, so I just kind of put it off for years, and then once I kind of ran into, Derek and met Derek, it kind of just fell into multiple conversations of him talking about different things and us coming up with topics with our audience about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And then from there, then my interest started, generating. And then once I really started stumbling into NFTs, you know what I mean, and started running into these gaming companies that are being in development and doing some research is when I really started, sparking my interest to be like, wait a second, I can be playing a Diablo game, you know what I mean, and then kill farm a rare boss and get an item, super, you know what I'm saying? That, off a chance of super rare that then now I hold the value in that item that then I can sell somewhere else because it's my item. Yeah. I mean, then I was interested,
Well, and
really
like
hooked.
just the other day, I found this game called Our Planet, and they had what they called mining packs. So they had a mini pack and a large pack. Small pack was $30. It guaranteed you X, Y, and Z. The bigger pack was 120. I ended up buying a total of 4 of the combination of it. And I couldn't tell you how much fun it was to open up an NFT pack that all of a sudden I didn't understand the game, but it looked like Magic the Gathering a little bit. mixed with some kind of other cool game I've never seen. And all of a sudden, I'm realizing this has monetary value because I took that R pack and I traded it for an NBA Top Shot NFT. And now I've been trading NFTs for physical things. So I took a skateboard and I traded it for an NFT the other day, and everyone's happy, and
Yeah.
it's the craziest thing. But people are starting to realize that NFTs are assets.
Oh
That's the
yeah.
whole point. Like, just the same way, you say you hold that dollar and you know what it buys you. Well, not necessarily with American inflation. That actually becomes a confusing kind of concept. And so now, kind of repurposing what money is and going like, oh, I can buy things with NFTs. I could actually buy things with Bitcoin now through my telephone. You don't have to hold it the same way. Like if you have 20,000 bucks in your bank account, you've never held that,
Right.
but you can access it. Same concept.
Yeah, and the argument I always give, to people that are looking at it is, like my kids, coming up. I mean, my daughter is, 9 years old, and I mean, she is glued to her tablet. I mean, and even myself. I mean, as a gamer and stuff. I mean, I would say I probably care more about what I own in the digital space than what I do in real life. I mean, some of my most important things are already digital anyway. So I have no issue seeing how it goes to that. So there's kind of two other, points I kind of wanted to touch on, just to kind of give a number one. I'm curious about specifically about artists and how they're using NFTs, and yeah, and I know you talked about Beeple, but not just that. I'm kind of curious is like, if you're an artist, how do you get started? And then my second question is more of kind of on the finance side of things, on if you want to get into making money with NFTs, either by buying NFTs, but I'm also curious about the technologies behind it, and if there's any, maybe like myself, for example, just being I'm not a collectible like Kodeations or like yourself probably, but I would have interest more in investing on the
Finance side of things. Right.
infrastructure side of things. But first, so those are kind of my two main points. So I guess first maybe we could go with artists, and then we could end with kind of the financial side of
Sure.
things.
Uh,
So curious, like I have several friends. I live stream on Twitch, and I've met several people around the world that have designed graphics for me, that have asked me about NFTs. How, if you're an artist, I mean, what's the best way of getting started? How do NFTs benefit you as an artist, especially as like a smaller artist, maybe?
I think the number one thing to realize when you want to start coming into the NFT space is that it is not as scary as it sounds. So most everyone, when they hear the word minted, I minted an NFT. These things sound bigger than what they are. Minted means you made it. Think of it like that. Like that's it,
Okay.
right? So just like you're an artist and I go buy a canvas and I buy my acrylics and I buy my paintbrushes, they all have a cost associated with it to create that piece of art. So the same way that most NFTs have some kind of fee associated with it to create that minting, right? So after you've created your art, whatever it might be a song, it might be a movie clip, it might be a photograph, it could be whatever. You put it up there, and what the artists love is you get a royalty. So as I put it up either on Ethereum, on Wax, whatever platform, I can put in a number up to, I think, 15 or 30%, depending on the platform, that every time I sell it, I get paid automatically to my crypto account. Every time it gets sold in the secondary market, I get paid that same percentage automatically to my crypto account. So
Oh wow.
that's where artists will really start to see the benefit, because let's say I sell a painting, I only get that first commission. Now, if that guy turns around and sells it for triple,
You don't
as an
get
artist, I
anything.
didn't. Right. So this is why I went to. I have a background in design. I have a master's in design. I have a lot of artist friends who have always been manipulated by people who want to take advantage of the artwork, and that's why I took the time with my friend who you saw on my YouTube show, where I taught her from how to buy Ethereum, how to mint something on Ethereum, how to start a community, because as an artist, you have to participate in the community, because ego cannot be allowed in this space, right? Most people that succeed, they come in because they're passionate about the crypto, the art, the NFT, and the community. So you need to have
Right.
I don't rather say little, you have to have a declarative artist statement the same way you would as if you were in a gallery, exact same way.
Okay.
Most people have never put their work in a gallery or done art school, so they don't know these things. So you have to create a little artist bio, who you are, what your art
Right.
represents, this kind of thing.
Which makes sense. I mean, that's why they always say, like a person's artwork is worth more sometimes when they pass away or they die because nobody knew about them when they were alive. So you have to make sure that you build up that community because otherwise, yeah, then that value of what you're asking for a specific NFT holds no value because nobody knows who you are. You're just a random Joe Schmo. So I mean,
Right.
obviously, building that bio or your portfolio basically is what's going to add value behind your art.
Or coexisting with other people. Someone from my community made me a new logo, which I absolutely loved. So what did I do? I minted it and I sent them number 1 through number 5, the most scarce of those. And I said, let me sell some other and create value for you. So I created 5 or 6 more. I sold them on the market. Now 1 through 5 that he owns has value and he can go around, hold it, sell it, whatever. And that's a cool way to give people back something as a thank you that has value that we just didn't take very long.
And just to I'm gonna go super like beginner mode here. So I just want to make sure people understand the royalty aspect of it. So if I'm understanding this right, I create an art piece, I list it, I sell it for $100. I'm assuming the chain or well, first let me clarify that. So you're not selling on the chain because like you can't go to Ethereum and do this. So there's obviously companies that you go to that then mint this onto the Ethereum blockchain?
Yeah, essentially you would go to a different company like Rarible, let's say, and
Okay.
that's somewhere you would mint it. So there's certain websites that have just like created amazing user interfaces, make it super simple. It's like you upload your PNG, your GIF, or your JPEG. You say how many you want to create. If you want to have an unlock thing where you can maybe give them a physical prize or something.
Okay.
There's a lot to learn. So like if you're coming in at an intro level, it's good to just get familiar and not be overwhelmed. Learn one platform and then learn another one.
And what platform would you maybe recommend for beginners?
I would recommend Wax for beginners because it has zero gas costs for minting and sending your Ethereum. I mean, sending
Okay.
your NFTs. I
Okay.
made one on Ethereum by accident. I pushed the button 3 times. It cost me $30 each time and it was an accident. So I couldn't do anything with it.
Oh, wow.
So it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
costly learning mistake, but it's also worthless to me now as an artist.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then, so my second question then was, let me see if I can remember what it was because we went down that.
It was from the financial aspect, like how does it play in?
Well, yeah, yeah, I had okay. Well, first I wanted to do the example of the royalty. So, okay, so I go to Wax or Rarible and I create this NFT, mint it. I sell it for $100, or I put it on an auction and it sells for $100. However, that works exactly. Do they then you paid the minute? Do they also get a percentage of that sale? Do you get the full $100? How's that work?
So you get it all.
Okay.
It's direct to consumer essentially, right? Like you're selling straight to their wallet. So their money
Okay.
goes straight into your account, your NFT goes straight into their wallet.
So you're just paying to mint the actual first and the NFT originally on
Well,
that
and
chain.
that's why I'm saying it depends on which platform you use. If you use Ethereum, you are going to pay to mint. If I
Okay.
create on Wax, I'm not paying to mint.
Okay. So essentially it can be completely free to create an NFT for you
Yeah,
as an artist.
absolutely.
Okay.
And
So
then the
then,
And
cost
so
of marketing.
and so continuing on that. So then I've sold it for $100. So when I set it up, I can set a royalty. You set a percentage, a certain amount up to 30% on some platforms. So now if that second person turns around and sells it for $1,000, and I'm just gonna do the max end just for shits and giggles. So I have it 30%. So then when he sells that for $1,000, he'll get 700 and I'll get 300.
No. From
Okay.
what I understand, he gets what he got for his sale, and then you get a portion that's contributed because there'll be like a fee associated, and everyone's different. I'm still learning every little aspect because there's so
Sure.
many new ones. So like now that I'm thinking about it, I've just been selling so many NFTs myself that I never thought about that before, I guess.
Well, yeah, I guess I was just curious how that royalty worked in real world, how that
Because like
applied.
to be honest with you, all I know is every time I look at my account, there's just more money in it. That's what I know. And so like as an artist, I don't think like, did he get 70% or something? I go, wow, someone sold my art again.
Right,
You know?
right.
right.
So
But from
it's
an investor
more of
perspective,
the smart contracts of the blockchain handle all of that. You just
it's
set it
all
in the beginning
automatic.
and it's
Yeah.
kind of like set and forget.
100%.
Yeah. Because on your end, you're just seeing that it was sold again because your money amount continues to pile. You're not seeing what that person of it, sold it for and what percentage you got and they got or whatever. You're just seeing you're gaining, royalty fees from it. That's all you're seeing on your end, or what you're paying attention to, anyways.
And
Which
and I'm also really bad at paying attention to the math of it because I'm so focused on constantly just pushing information out to people. When they ask me about fees and stuff, I don't ever look at that. So like
yeah,
that's just not good
Yeah,
for me.
yeah, which is fine.
no worries.
Like I said, I was just curious, kind of real world example of how it worked. So then, yeah, that kind of talking about money, that kind of takes me into my last point that I'm interested in, which is the financial side. I mean, I think we've talked about how artists can make money with it, but I'm curious again. I guess this is a selfish question, but I'm not interested in owning any NFTs. I'm not interested in collecting, but I see the value for artists. I'm not an artist myself. At least I don't consider myself to be. I make content, but I don't know if that's art or not. But I don't consider myself to be an artist. I'm not interested in owning a bunch of artwork personally. Maybe when video game stuff happens, that I would be interested in. But if I wanted to and somehow invest for financial gain, like being honest, like is there recommendation for that? Is there ways to get involved without actually owning NFTs, or is this pretty much a marketplace of art and NFTs? Not, when I say art, NFTs, and that's kind of how you had to do it, or
No, there's, I mean, that is like a very interesting thing. Like some people don't want to participate in that, and they have other projects where they've tokenized collections essentially, where a bunch of collectors have bought up, let's say, 20 of people's artworks that are worth $10 million, let's say, and then they've tokenized that collection and sold that token on the Ethereum blockchain. And so,
okay.
for an example, you could look up something called Zoos. It's ZUZ, and that's a collective of artists who have done that exact thing.
Okay. Very
So
cool.
there's
Very
people who
cool.
are like, yeah, I want to be in the NFT world and financially benefit from it, but I don't want to go through owning NFTs and all that. That's not my arena. Just want to make
Yeah, and
money.
and not even, I mean, not to sound like a complete, money hungry guy.
It just there's only
I
so much
like I
money in
like
it.
investing in cool. I mean, the way I've always made money, like, I've invested in a lot of early stuff, like I mean, a lot of early companies, like a lot of the social media companies, Tesla, cryptocurrencies, as I said. So it's also just, the way that I've made money is by investing in technologies that I just think are really cool and can really benefit, the world as a whole. So it's not just like money. I just think it's really fucking cool.
Well, and then that's the thing too, is like people have to make money on this market for it to continue to grow, because that money is what stimulates the creators in this economy.
Right.
It's a
Makes sense.
beneficial relationship. So as you make more money, it allows people to build more amazing projects because you're going to continue to reinvest that money in other things.
Right, and
And
then not
go
and then
ahead,
I just
Codations.
wanted to I just want to say one thing. I mean, the other thing
Sure.
too, Derek, and to also relay back to you is you don't technically have to, as an investor or as a financial person, only into the NFT space for gains. You got to remember, you don't have to actually create NFTs. I mean, you could in theory, see an NFT, see the value what the NFT is today, do you know what I mean? And then you could invest by buying that NFT just like you would stocks, for instance, do you know what I mean, or investments, and then you would be able to then, hold on to those NFTs, do you know what I mean, or find another person, or another place that would be willing to pay more for that NFT. Do you know what I mean? So then in theory, you didn't design or create the NFT, you know what I mean? You're just basically buying and trading NFTs that, are other people's NFTs essentially. So,
That's,
you know what I mean? So you could still be gaining money financially that way without actually putting in the time or, work to create an NFT.
so there's an app I use called crypto.com, and they recently started putting out NFTs for the first time ever. They had this artist do three different NFTs for 2,000 bucks a pop. There was 200 of them total. They sold out, and immediately they went into your crypto wallet the same way your Bitcoin would, whatever. And people were able to sell it. And they put it up 8,000, 10,000. They didn't really care about the art. They understood the value and the scarcity.
Right, right. Makes sense. And so one more question relating to that out of curiosity. So I'm assuming on the Wax platform or the Rarible platform that they are using their own form of cryptocurrency. So I'm assuming they have like a Wax coin. I don't know what it's called, or Rarible has their own token that, basically do the values of those fluctuate like normal cryptocurrencies? Could you buy just tokens and hold on to those, and do they increase in value if the whole system is doing better? I mean, like to kind of
Yes.
I guess in my thought, like how you would buy Ethereum to invest in the future of Ethereum and it goes up. Could you do that with Wax?
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
same,
So
the same.
like Wax does have their own token called Wax, and Rarible has their own token called Rari. Each has conditional restrictions based on where you are in the world to purchase it. But because it's crypto and because most all of them are decentralized, there's always a way to find it.
Right.
You just got to look. And more or less, as that platform develops, more projects are being built on it, what they call dApps, essentially smart applications. You're going to be able to play games, applications on your phone that are on blockchains, and you're not even going to be able to tell the difference anymore. Like that's the
Okay.
future of where we're going right now. So
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, that's all the financial questions I had. I guess, and to be honest, that's about all that I have in total. So I guess Codations, do you have any final questions? And then Jason, we'll give you a chance if you have any other thoughts or anything that you might want to say. But Codations, anything from
Um,
you?
yeah, I mean, no, I think this is a good place for the podcast. I think we've covered, pretty much all aspects. We talked about what NFTs are. We've kind of introduced NFTs, talked about different avenues, that NFTs, are in the space of NFTs. But one thing though, I would like to say, Jason, for sure would be, but before we end out the podcast tonight, definitely we'll give you a chance to put out your information out there. That way you can also shout out your stuff, so that anybody that's interested in learning more about NFTs, but also for myself too, especially for me, I'm assuming Derek as well, I would like to hook up with you, after, us at some point, in time, I'll shoot you some information or whatever. And just, I'm curious to learn more about it, to pick your crazy NFT brain.
absolutely, man. Thank you very much, guys, for having me. All you gotta do is put in the Hustle House directly above my head into Google, and I've cast quite a big internet shadow, let's say. So you can find me on Twitter, on YouTube, on literally everything under the Hustle House. It's two E's. It's not the Hustle House. It's the Hustle House.
Oh yeah.
We focus on crypto and culture. I love sneakers. So that just happens to be where I kind of like parlay. What do I do with my crypto profits? I like sneakers. So I like to show people that there's tangible things you could do with your crypto essentially. And
So I have to ask, since you're saying
yeah,
you like sneakers, what did you think of Little Nas X's satanic shoes?
I thought it was very interesting that they didn't sue for the holy water one, but they sued for this one. That's
Yeah,
all
they
I
I mean, they had to. They had to. They don't have a choice.
you know,
They
this
I think
this
it's stupid personally, but they had to.
I don't think people should keep doing remakes of Nike like that and just be a little bit more individual, but that's me.
Yeah, I don't think where the shoe market has come to this point, and not to go into a whole shoe podcast, but where it's come, I don't think they need Nike anymore, if that makes sense. I don't think they need that brand to make those killer shoes. I think they can just make them and they would sell them. But that's just
I
my
don't
thought.
disagree with
But yeah, again, the Hustle House on all the things. I will say we mentioned a video that he did with an artist friend. So again, I know I have several artist friends that were interested in this podcast. So I would highly recommend. Do you know what the title of that video was that they could,
it's
you know,
pinned to my YouTube profile and it's making money with NFTs with Kelsey Grinna, who's my artist friend from Florence, Italy.
yeah, that is an excellent video to watch if you're an artist looking and to kind of how to do it, because he literally does walk his friend through how to set up her NFT and everything on the site. It was a really cool video. It's like 45 minutes long, I think was about the time. But again, Jason, thank you so much for coming on our podcast, for sharing all your knowledge about NFTs. We really do appreciate it. Like I said, it's so crazy. I've been in the crypto space forever, but shit's moving so fast, man, that I mean, it's hard to keep up with everything. I don't know how people do it.
It's a wild world, but thank you so much for having me, guys. I had a great time.
Yeah,
Yep,
thank you
yep.
very
Thanks
much,
again,
Jason.
Jason.
Have a good one.